Hi guys, Aileen here from Homegrown Happiness. Welcome back to another video. It's August now, and today's focus in the garden is going to be prepping it for spring. New Zealand has had such a mild winter, and we were told at the start that it's going to be one of the coldest winters, so I don't know where that is. But August is actually one of the most unpredictable months when it comes to weather in New Zealand, so it might come now. But either way, I can't complain. It's been beautiful, and we already have daffodils up, even though it's still a month to go till spring. So I thought that now I will get the garden ready so that it's ready to plant in when my spring seedlings are done. It hasn't been super cold here, but it has rained a bit, so the ground's pretty squelchy and pretty compacted. So I'm going to be adding a nice thick layer of organic material on top. So like I said, there's been quite a bit of rain, so the ground's pretty compacted. I'm not going to dig it over or do anything like that to get air into it. I'm just going to layer on more organic matter and then let the worms do their thing. I'm not a fan of digging into the ground, as you probably know. So yeah, I'm just going to pile on lots of organic matter. Behind me I have, the closest to me, a big pot of aged horse manure, some compost and worm castings, and then seaweed that my son and I collected the other day. This one I have rinsed off and then I've chopped it. I'd started chopping them by hand and then that took forever, so I used my hedge trimmer to do that, and that was great. Should have really done that sooner. And then the horse manure I get from a client, and it's awesome. I have this giant bag that just sits there aging away, and then I can grab it as I need it. Compost and worm castings, just from the compost and worm bin that are around here. And so those three mixed together are going to make a great kind of top cover over this empty patches of like space that I have. Yeah, they'll kind of act as a mulch as well. I'm not going to put any mulch on top of that, not until I actually plant in spring. This will work the same. So like usual, I don't really have an exact plan of what I want to do. I've ordered some new seeds, and I've pretty set on those seeds that I've got, that's what I want to plant in spring. But then knowing me, I'm going to find 10 other things that I want to jam in there. So I would just prep kind of all the space so that if that happens, then I can squeeze things in. I'm just going to start by semi-mixing this together and then piling it on. Okay, so here are the patches that I've done. I had to go and refill the buckets a couple of times. And up there. And then here. And then as soon as I harvest anything else, then I'll do the same thing. I'll just keep refilling all the empty spaces with a mixture like that. It's awesome because it's all free or stuff you make yourself, which is the best way to do it, I think, because when you're growing a veggie garden, it's a shame if you spend like so much money on all the store-bought stuff and then sometimes it doesn't even work out cheaper. You may as well just buy your own produce. So if I can do it all for free, then it makes the veggies I grow extra worth it. Obviously they're already worth it because they taste so much better, but you know what I mean. I just wanted to mention one thing as well when I was talking about how the ground's really compacted and I'm not going to like dig it over to get any air into it. I do make an effort not to stand on the ground that I'm going to plant in though. Like I have pavers everywhere in all the areas that I walk, so that if I do walk through, then I will stand on stones and not squish the ground anymore. Like they go all the way around and up the top, and yeah. And here is the very empty pile of compost now. This was quite a big heap before, so that's all been used in the garden. I love that that used to be all our food scraps or stuff from the vacuum or paper, and now it's just all being put back in the earth. I think that's really awesome. Some people sieve their compost when they're using it in the garden, but I don't, because I quite like seeing what pops up, like volunteer plants, so tomatoes and pumpkins and stuff like that. Yeah, so the stuff will definitely come up if you don't sieve out the big seeds, but I find that exciting. I'll show you guys what's still growing in my winter garden. Board beans, but they won't do much until the bees come back out. I have some Brussels sprouts. So these are quite small plants, I think, because they're just not really getting any sun, but there are definitely Brussels sprouts coming on there. And here's the kohlrabi that I planted a little while ago. Got some peas, and this is the pea frame that I built last month, and the peas are coming through there as well, which is awesome. And then here, this is an asparagus pea, and so they produce these kind of like winged peas, which is also what they're known as, and they are meant to taste like asparagus. So got a couple there, and they're a perennial, so they'll keep coming back, which is awesome, because that means less work. So very excited to see what these turn out like. We've got lettuces and broccoli, and this is broccoli that my chicken likes to eat. I caught her before, so I'm always blaming things on slugs and snails, and then caught her red-handed getting that. And some more cauliflowers. So things here are still growing slowly, but they're still growing, so I can't complain. And so these here are Federation daisies that I just snapped off and then just plopped in the ground, and then they grow roots, and then they'll have new plants to plant out in spring. Okay, and here are my cauliflowers. So these ones got a little bit stressed. They got quite a bit of frost damage, so there was like a heavy frost, and then it would get warm, and then there was another heavy frost, and then so they got that really water-soaked look, and then they've just started doing this and kind of coming apart a little bit. And then same with this one. And I have my nicer ones that I remembered to tie up, and the ones that I remembered to tie up have these beautiful creamy white heads inside. I'll show you. Can't be all talk. Look at that. So note to self, don't be lazy. So doing that, tying the leaves up around the cauliflower head, is called blanching, and that preserves the beautiful white creamy colour, and it keeps the head nice and compact and not eaten by slugs and snails or had got any frost damage or rain damage. So when I remember to bring up rubber bands, then I can do it, but I obviously am really terrible at remembering it. So this is a boysenberry. It needs a bit of cutting back, but I just want to show you what I did. I planted it into the soil here. So this is called layering, and then it grows roots, and then each of these can become its own plant. So this one's actually started to root all the way up here as well. So that's just a great way to propagate new plants. So I'm going to cut these and then replant them somewhere else, and then there's some extra boysenberry plants. What I did for that was just get the tip off one of the long growing canes and just bury it underground, and then it'll just start growing roots all by itself. So that's the start of my spring prep. So I'm going to now keep just collecting what I can. I'm going to go out and get more seaweed, because there's definitely going to be more patches that will need it. And I'm going to go back to the pine forest. I went to a pine forest a little while ago, and I got heaps of pine needles, which I'm going to use as a mulch as well, because I use hay, but I got a lot of hay for free, and that's nearly run out. So I still want to see what I can find myself before I buy anything. So yeah, pine needles, I'm going to use those as mulch, like mainly in between all the pavers and the areas around the garden. And yeah, oh, and I'm going to plant seeds. So I've got my seed order coming sometime this week from King Seeds, and then I'm going to get started on starting all my seedlings inside. But I think I'll make a separate video for that. Thanks for watching. Bye.